Hello and welcome back to Something Z, and welcome back to What If Deku had a show Teleportation Quirk Part 4. Last time on the What If, Class 1A survived the USJ attack, and Aizawa is now announcing that they will still have the sports festival. Now, let's get into the what if. And Aizawa just announced the UA Sports Festival will happen. Some people were skeptical that schools should even have the sports festival, since there was just an attack by villains. But when the class started to complain that it would be bad because of what just happened, Aizawa shut them. The UA Sports Festival is more popular than the old Olympics, and if we don't do this, we will be saying that we could be stopped by one attack. The class then quiets down, having to accept that it will happen. He then announces the sports festival will be in about 2 weeks, and when the class ends, Bakugo and Izuku decide they didn't want to train together to see how each other grew during those 2 weeks. And when they open the door to leave the classroom, the hallways are filled with other people who want to see who they are going to be competing against during the festival. And they meet Shinso and Tetsu. They meet in the same way as in the canon, and Shinso declares war on Class 1A. So during those 2 weeks, Izuku practiced using his quirk to as strong as he can make it, by practicing the amount and the duration of them. And he did some training to increase his bone density, so his quirk when he launches himself doesn't completely destroy him. So we skipped 2 weeks and it's the day of the sports festival. In Class 1A is hanging out in the break room waiting for the festival to start. And when Izuku walked into the room announcing the festival is starting, they leave the room preparing themselves for the festival. When everyone participating gets into the stadium, Midnight explains the obstacle race to everyone. They are given about a minute to line up, and when she reaches the end of the countdown to begin, they start the race. And everyone is getting pushed and shoved in the path. When Todoroki, who was in the front of the race, froze the floor to stop some of the competition. And when Izuku's feet got frozen, he put a portal under him, getting rid of the ice. And he teleported himself onto a nearby wall, and he launched himself wall to wall until he gets to the end of the hallway. Currently, Midoriya is in around 20th place when the robots start to attack the other runners. And that's when most of the people realize there were multiple zero-pointers that were being used as obstacles to stop them. When Shoto ran up to a closed zero-pointer, he froze the robot where it stood, which was frozen off balance and was starting to slowly fall over. When any robots came to attack Midoriya, he created a portal and closed it shut, so he would split the robot in half. When the zero-pointer actually fell, it landed on Kirishima and Tetsu. When Izuku saw Bakugo flying over the robot, he used his portals to teleport over the robot too. When Izuku got to the cannon, he jumped off the cliff. Before he hit the bottom, he created a portal and launched himself at the other side of the canyon. And when he got to the other side, he launched himself from the side of the cannon to a stone pillar, and eventually got up. When Izuku got to the minefield, Shoto and Bakugo was a good 40 feet away, so he jumped over the mine and stepped on a mine to propel himself. And he tried to create a portal right above him, which works, and he puts 120 feet away and launches himself. And when Bakugo and Shoto hear an explosion, they look behind them and see Midoriya launching himself at them. And the moment Midoriya gets fully launched out of the portal, he creates one right in front of him and puts the other one right behind the two people in front of him. He quickly comes up with a plan to slow Bakugo and Todoroki. He steps on another mine and creates it above him and puts it right in front of him. So the pink smoke that comes out of the explosion covers the two, and making it so they had to close their eyes. And when their eyes were closed, Izuku was fired about 10 feet away from the explosion, and he makes it to the end of the minefield. Izuku, being drained out of energy, runs as fast as he can, but since he was tired from using his quirk so many times, he comes in third place, while Todoroki was in first and Bakugo was in second. When everyone got to the stadium, Izuku got some of his energy back. And let's say everyone has the same teams as in the canon. And when they start the cover battle, everyone plans to fight Midoriya to keep their disc because they know that he could create a portal and just grab their headbands. And Izuku's team plan was just to get close to any team so he could grab them as quickly as possible. And when he got close to one team, he tried to grab one person's headband, and they had short blonde hair, and when Izuku pulled the headband, the guy was able to quickly tap on Izuku's hand. And when Izuku closed the portal, a portal that looks identical to Midoriya's opened up, and Team Izuku barely dodged the hand. And Ochako and Hatsume used the flying boot to fly into the air to see who used the portal. And when he looks at the blonde guy who he grabbed the headband from, he was using portals. So Midoriya's first thought was he either had a similar quirk or a copy type of quirk. So their goal is to stay away from them as much as possible. And when Bakugo and Monoma meet in the battle, Monoma doesn't touch anyone else so he can keep the teleportation. So he uses a portal to grab Bakugo's and barely dodges, and they spend the rest of the time just fighting each other. When the cavalry battle ends, the scores are just about the same as in the canon, and when it's the lunch break, Todoroki and Izuku don't talk to each other, since Izuku does have one for all. So we skip to when Midnight is announcing the final matchups, and all the matches are the same as in the canon. And Ichiro and someone else from their class want to resign because they don't feel like they deserve it. And before the actual matches begin, Ichiro tells Izuku not to talk to Shinzo, or he can brainwash him. So we skip to the actual match of Shinzo and Midoriya. And the arena is around 40 by 40 feet. And when the countdown ends, Shinzo begins to say, "Wow, that ape really was useless if he turned down such an occasion." Before Midoriya said anything, he held himself back because he knew this guy's quirk, and he created a small portal next to him and one in front of Shinzo's stomach, and he punches Shinzo in the gut, making it so Shinzo's breath was taken away. And Izuku started to rush at Shinzo. When Shinzo was able to speak, Izuku was right in front of him, readying up another punch, and they exchanged punches, one in Shinzo's chest and one on Izuku's face, and they ended up just punching each other. And when Izuku was finally able to grab Shinzo's arm, he shoulder throws Shinzo to the ground and then creates a portal, launching Shinzo out. Izuku Midoriya won, and will go on to the next round. So we skip over the other rounds, and they will all end the same as they do in the actual canon. So it's time for the match between Todoroki and Izuku. When Midnight ended the countdown, Todoroki started the match by launching an ice attack across the whole stadium. The way Izuku avoided it was by putting a portal under him and launching himself to the side. And when Todoroki started to use ice attack after ice attack, Izuku launched himself portal in a way he couldn't get hit from any of the ice, and he teleports around the arena, making it so he keeps accelerating at high speeds. And eventually, around 2 minutes of teleporting around, Izuku teleports himself right in front of Todoroki, and he was going to fling himself and clothesline Todoroki. But Todoroki puts an ice pillar in front of him, so Izuku doesn't hit him. And when Izuku hits the ice, he doesn't go completely through the ice, but he makes it midway, and the force of Izuku slamming his arm against the ice cracked it. The damage of Izuku's arm slamming into the ice was Izuku broke or dislocated his arm. He couldn't tell what it was, but he knew that he could not use his arm for a while until Recovery Girl could heal him. Izuku then backs away, not knowing what he or Todoroki is going to do. When Todoroki fired another ice attack, Izuku was able to dodge it more easily than he was before. He notices that Todoroki's right side is covered in ice, and he's starting to shake. "Why are you trembling, Todoroki? Don't you have another quirk that makes up for your weakness? Did my father pay you to say that? What are you talking about? I'm just wondering why you're holding yourself back while everyone here is trying their best, and I want to beat someone, but I won't accept it if you're just going to throw this opportunity away. No, I refuse to use his quirk. I'll win without it. How dare you? If you're not going to try your best, you don't have the right to be the strongest." Izuku then charges at Todoroki, and he creates a portal behind Todoroki, and he knees him in the back. "If you're so worried about using his quirk, don't, because it's your power, not his." Then Todoroki started to use his fire quirk on his left side, so he finally started to take this seriously. "So come at me, Todoroki, with all you got." Then Midoriya started to teleport around the arena, while Todoroki launches a large wave of ice that almost hit the audience. Midoriya was just about able to teleport above the wave of ice, and when Todoroki notices that Izuku is above the wave of ice, he fires a powerful flame, which almost hits Izuku. But Izuku uses a portal right in front of the flame and one next to it to avoid getting hit head on. And with the last of his strength, he goes for a punch, which hits Todoroki in the stomach, and it ends with both of them on the ground. But since Izuku used so many portals in such a short time, he actually passed out when his adrenaline ran out, leaving Todoroki as the winner. And that's where I'm going to leave it off. I hope you enjoyed the What If, and I hope to see you next time on Something Z.